So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me this afternoon. This very special session of live broadcast. Now, for those who have always been with me online, you know that Wednesdays and Saturdays are the most preferred days for this broadcast. But today, celebrating the 60th independence anniversary of Nigeria, I thought to do something on independence that will perhaps serve as a guide to us for those who may be at home and just be thinking to learn one or two things from the independence. So today I'm thinking of doing a small talk, and I hope it's not a long one, on what it means to be independent as an individual, as a nation, as a family, and as a group. Yesterday, I had the privilege of sharing the platform with a friend of mine, Dr. Victoria Dao, and we talked about emotional intelligence. And I received a number of comments from people about that, and I appreciate all the comments that have been made and sent. And I appreciate you for also taking time to join and to remain with me. Thank you for believing in me and for believing in what God has placed in my hands to do. So today I will be talking about independence, and I'll try to talk about how you can move from independence to interdependence, from independence to interdependence. But before you become interdependent, you have got to first and foremost be independent. That is so key. That is really critical. Now, so I'm already getting comments, and I thank you, my elder brother, for agreeing with the first question. What does it mean to be independent? What does it really mean to be independent? I'm going to be looking at it from the perspective of nation and from the perspective of an individual, because I believe that it is individuals who make up families, those families make up communities, those communities make up states, make up nations, make up ethnic groups, and whatever thing that you want to talk about. So thank you again, like I said, for joining me. I'm going to be talking very well on the need to be independent. I am sure that a number of us have always asked this question, or have always thought what it means to be an independent person. And perhaps we've never really found an answer to that. So today I'll just attempt to help us find an answer and to help us build our capacity as individuals to be independent of happenings around, and independent of our circumstances, and independent of situations that confront us. Now, Cambridge Dictionary defines independence in this manner. One, it says it is freedom from being governed or ruled by another country. Freedom from being governed or ruled by another country, or the ability to live your life without being helped or influenced by other people. So this definition is broken in two. The first one has to do with nations. The second has to do with individuals. And like I said, I'm going to talk more on the individual side, because it is when an individual is fully built, when an individual is fully capacitated, as it were, when an individual knows and understands himself, that his family can be fully built, that his community can gain that privilege of being fully built, that his nation can also get the privilege of being fully built. So again, the Cambridge Dictionary defines freedom as first, freedom or independence rather, as first, freedom from being governed or ruled by another country, and secondly, for the individual, is the ability to live your life without being helped or influenced by others. Now, you will note that it is not possible for any one of us to live without being influenced by others. In fact, for those of you who have followed me, you have known that I've always defined leadership as influence. Okay? Every one of us gets influenced. Every one of us gets influenced. Before I began this series, okay, or before I began this live broadcast, I was influenced by someone. Okay? And influence does not have to be control. Influence just can be guide, can be an eye-opening situation, or can just be a moment of a eureka moment coming from someone else. Okay? So that's what influence is. So even though the dictionary defines it as freedom from being influenced, I'd like to say that I do not believe or agree that you cannot be influenced. Every one of us gets influenced. In fact, children influence parents. When you go out as a parent and at your return you think of buying certain things for your children because the children will appreciate it and because of the kind words they will say to you or how they will view you, unconsciously, those children are influencing you without you necessarily taking note of that. So that's what influence does. So to live independently, there are certain things that are expected of us. And the first is that we must learn to think independently. We must learn to think independently. Now, I am very cautious about this because in the community that we live at the moment as Nigerians, we have the culture of getting parents to think for their children. We have the culture that even though, for example, I am married now and have children, my father in Kaduna, all right, thinks that he should think for me. Thinks that because he's gone ahead of me, he knows the way better. And in many instances, that isn't correct. For you to be an independent person, you must learn to think independently. Okay? For you to be an independent person, you must learn to think independently. And for you to think independently, you must tell yourself that you have got certain freedom. Now, Mokoma, Mokokoma, Mokohohana says this, and I agree with him. He says, freedom of speech is unnecessary if the people to whom it is granted do not think for themselves. You must think for yourself. It is incumbent on you to do what? To think for yourself. What you're doing right now by way of career, how did you begin that career? Did you think for yourself? The person you are getting married to right now, even before you get married, did you think for yourself? Or has this been imposed upon you? Or has that been crafted into your head to think in that manner? Okay? You must learn to think for yourself. Every independent person thinks for his or herself. And that is key, that is critical, that is very, very essential. Okay? So the first point to living independent life is that you must learn to think for yourself. And of course, there are several processes, there are several means of thinking. But note that when you do those or apply those several means of thinking, it must be independent or it must be an independent process. I've done some teaching on thinking. Go to YouTube on Born to Lead channel. You see those thoughts on, those thoughts on how to think. And thinking independently is one of the processes by which you can think and also show that you are independent. Okay, so while that's the first point, the next point for you to exhibit independence is that you must learn to accept yourself. I shared this story yesterday at the podcast. Let me share it today again. Okay? Um, my colleagues in the university have set up a WhatsApp group. And from time to time, we discover each other, having graduated for over 25 years now. We discover each other and then join to the group. Okay? And the day before yesterday, so two persons were added to the group. And of course, because we still remember those days when we were pretty young and how we yapped each other, how we joked about each other's height, each other's color, each other's speech, and so on and so forth. We continually do throw banters on the WhatsApp group. And so, of the two persons that were introduced, we had a guy that we used to call Short Mike in school. I haven't come to the group. Someone remembered that name and called him by that name. My God. The guy's response was unbelievable. He insulted the person who called him that name, Short Mike. He rained all sorts of insults on the person's family, which I'm sure he had never seen. And he ended up insulting members of the group and then checked out of the group. It was shocking to me. In fact, when I first saw his message, I thought it was a joke until I read other things that he posted on the group, and then eventually he left the group. Now, that's a clear case and evidence that the man does not accept himself for who he is. I am dark. In fact, the most popular thing, the most famous thing I like about myself, besides my height, is the fact that I am dark. I am dark-skinned. I will do everything to protect my being dark. I will do everything to keep my being dark. I have accepted myself for who I am. Okay? I've even accepted areas where I do not have certain skills. I cannot have all the skills. It is impossible to have all the skills. The things that I cannot do, I'm able to delegate to others to do for me. So, for you to be independent, you must accept yourself. And Marilyn Monroe says this: wanting to be someone else is a waste of the person that you are. It's a waste of the person that you are. Wanting to be someone else is at best being a photocopy of the person. You can never be an original of another person. It is impossible. Therefore, you must learn to accept who you are. The world may call you short, but every short person has an advantage. The world may call you tall or long, like some people used to call me, but every long person has an advantage. The world may say I am dark. I acknowledge that I am dark, but that does not hinder me from thinking of progressive things. The world may say that you are fat. My friend, that should not keep you from doing the things that you truly want to do. For you to be independent, you must learn to accept yourself. You must learn to acknowledge who you are. You must learn to accept for the flaws in character. You must learn to ignore those areas where you lack skills and ability to do certain things. Because there are people who can fill in that gap in your life. Wanting to be someone else is a waste of the person that you are. There are certain things, there are certain purposes that have been created just for you. There are certain problems that have arisen that you are the only individual, because of your personality, because of your understanding, because of your capacity and capability, that can resolve those issues that have arisen. So you must learn to accept yourself for you to be independent. So first, I say you must learn to do what to think independently. Secondly, you must learn to accept yourself. And by accepting yourself is acknowledging that you have certain flaws as a human being. Even your character, you are not up to date at the moment. You are not 100% flawless, even though you make effort daily to improve character-wise. But in terms of skill-wise, know who you are and accept who you are. Okay? The next, for you to prove that you are independent, is to believe in yourself. To believe in yourself. What does it mean to believe in yourself? You must agree with who you are. And then you must believe that you have the capacity to do all that you ever think or imagine. There are challenges out there. You must believe that you have the personality to be able to overcome every challenge that comes your way. And by the way, I'm just led to say this. Every challenge that arises or against you has an expiry date. Every opposition that comes against you began one day, it will end someday. You must believe in yourself. There are people that I know of that have failed or refused to go to certain places because they do not believe in themselves. There are certain people that have asked or challenged to do certain things, and the first thing that comes to their heart is that cannot do it. Friends, there is nothing that you cannot do. I had a discussion with one of my daughters, Sharon, and I asked her to, there's an essay competition for secondary schools, and I asked her to attempt the essay. And her first thought for me was that, well, she's not good at writing essay. And I said, well, probably it's because you have never written essays in competition. And I encouraged her to write the essay. By the way, I posted one of the essays yesterday. Another competition came up. She has taken a challenge to do that essay. We're going to post that essay today. Why? Because suddenly she's beginning to believe in herself. And Michael Bassey Johnson says, if you truly want to be respected by people you love, you must prove to them that you can survive without them. In other words, you must prove to individuals that you can stand independent of yourself. There are so many people right now that should have started certain businesses a long time ago, but they are so afraid and they do not believe in themselves that they continue to remain in jobs that they do not want. There are so many people, okay, that are doing things that are inappropriate for them. Not because they love doing it, but because they do not believe in themselves. Friends, for you to live an independent life, you must rise up to believe in yourself and to do things that show that you can survive without other people. Think of this. If you were in a ship, all right, and you were either thrown overboard or the ship capsized, and you found yourself in an island where only you possibly made it, would you kill yourself rather than find ways to survive in the island? My best bet is that most of us will unconsciously find ways to survive in the island. Unconsciously, you would find ways to survive in the island. Now, if that be the case, why not believe in yourself before you go to the island? Why not trust yourself and say, I can do all things? There is a popular Bible verse that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Why don't you believe in yourself? Friends, right now, Write out the things that you are believing you will do between now and the next 6 months, and take one step at a time to do them. That's how to live independently. That's how to prove that you are an independent person. Believe in yourself. It is quite helpful and necessary for your survival as an individual. The other is to do what? To accept the world. Accept it as it is. To know that not all things or all people are bad. There are people who have a negative disposition about the world. There are people who think that nothing good can come out of the world. By the way, there are so many others who think that the world is a very beautiful place and they are doing exceptional things. Now, if you want to live an independent life, if you want to do great things, you must accept the world. You're not on another planet. You're not in another world. Learn to enjoy the world as it is. And I can say this with confidence. Without the hiccups that are experienced in the world would not have been as sweet as it is. Without the challenges that we experience in the world, without the oppositions that arise left, right, and center, all right, the world would have been a dry place. There would not have been fun on planet Earth and the entire world as it is if we didn't have the kind of challenges that we have in the world at the moment. Accept the world. Note that not all people believe in what you believe in. Not all people speak the language that you speak. Not all people live where you live. Not all people will see things the way that you see them, because not all people experience the world the way that you experience it. Therefore, accept the world for what it is. There are days of fun, there are days of trials. That's how the world is. There are days of bliss, there are days of pain. Excuse me, that's how the world functions. And Mehmet Murad Ildan says this: we don't care whether you are a Christian or Muslim or Jew or Hindu. All we care is the goodness inside you, because only the goodness inside you can make you a good human. Accept the world. You must first of all know that though we have separated ourselves on several grounds, that first and foremost we are all human. We are all human. The process by which a Baju man and Baju woman give birth to children is the same process by which an Indian must go through to give birth to children. That's what makes us human. Every human needs food and water to survive. Every human, regardless of where you live. Even though our food may be different, but we need food to survive. Every human alive at the moment breathes in oxygen and exhales out carbon dioxide. Every human. That's what makes us human. We have so much in common than we have that separates us. So much in common than the things that separate us. You must learn to accept the world for what it is. If there is anything in the world that you do not like, it is a challenge for you to do what? To change that aspect of the world to what you like. But most importantly, for you to be an independent person, you must learn to accept the world the way that it is. Now, the next is to be emotionally independent. Emotionally independent. What does it mean to be emotionally independent? Okay? You must note again that to be emotionally independent is that you must not tie your emotion to any person. Of course, if you're married, you know that you've got a partner that you've got to love. You've got a friend that you have to appreciate. Okay? But live in such a way that whether the person loves you or not, whether the person accepts you or not, that you are able to survive emotionally without depending on anyone or anything. Okay? You must note that you are able to stand for yourself without depending so much on people's emotions. Otherwise, you can easily get depressed. Easily, you can get depressed. And there are so many people who have suffered depression. There are so many people who have suffered pain. There are so many people who have suffered situations that they shouldn't have suffered just because they tied their emotions to certain things happening. They tied their emotions to certain people being in their lives or not. They have tied their emotions to other people's well-being. Someone once said this: there is no love fully capable of filling the void in a person who does not love himself. This is what it means to be independent as far as emotion is concerned. You must first of all do what? Love yourself. Even the scriptures teach that love your neighbor as how you do what? As how you love yourself. So loving self is key. Loving self is critical. Loving self is fundamental. Loving self is very necessary under every situation and circumstance. You must love yourself. All right? First and foremost. And this is what it means to be independent. This is what it means to be emotionally independent. You cannot love people more than you love yourself. It is not possible. All right? You cannot love people more than you love yourself. So you must learn to love yourself. That is how to be independent. Okay? The next, you must be self-motivated. Push yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. That's the truth. You must push yourself because nobody else will push you. To be so self-motivated is to tell yourself that you can do everything that your heart has set out to do. To be self-motivated is the best motivation that you can ever get. Every morning when I wake up, I talk to myself. Of course, there are days that I wake up on the low, but before the day runs through, I have so motivated myself that I am able to do the things that I've set down to do. The plans I've written out to do, I'm able to do them. This is what it means, or this is what it takes to be self-motivated. Again, someone wrote, don't stop rather when you are tired. Stop when you are done. There is no better motivation than this. I know the world is tiring. I know that there are opposition concerning everything that you have set out to do. I know that on a daily basis, you face challenges. I know that as a parent, you have brought up your children in the way that you think that they should go, but they have turned out to be a total opposite of what you have imagined for them. I know that you have saved money, hoping to own a house, and suddenly prices have gone up and everything, including the house, has increased in price. I know that, but I'm going to encourage you to motivate yourself, to inspire yourself, to push yourself, to keep going on and never give up until you are fully accomplished, until you are fully good, until you are fully sustained, okay, by the things that you do. So for you to be independent, you have to be self-motivated. All right? The next is that you must learn to accept, and this at some point, let me share this. At one point, I hardly believed this. Okay? At one point, I fought against the fact that the world isn't fair. I always thought that things should happen the way that I wanted them to happen. That's how I had thought at one point in my life. Until I got a version of my life. Left, right, and center, things didn't seem to fit. Things didn't seem to arrange. Things didn't seem to fall in line with the way that I had always planned. Now, things changed when I learned to accept that life isn't fair, that the world isn't fair. Because it isn't fair because there are people who have been toiling for years over a particular thing and somebody just rises up and suddenly overtakes them. It shows, in quotes, the unfairness of life. There are people who have been married for 10, 15 years. They kept themselves pure out of marriage. They had no sexual relationship. They had no abortion out of marriage. They are now in marriage, and for 10, 15 years, they have been unable to get children. Meanwhile, someone who has lived a reckless life gets married and suddenly has twins. Life doesn't seem fair, but you and I must learn to accept that fact, that life doesn't seem fair. Because life doesn't seem fair does not mean we must end life. It doesn't mean that we must learn to accept life the way that it is and learn to live through the situations and circumstances of life. And so, Barbara Kingsolver says this. Don't try to make life a mathematics problem with yourself in the center and everything coming out equal. When you are good, bad things can still happen. And if you are bad, you can still be lucky. That's how unfair life seems. That's how unfair life seems. But you know what? You must learn to accept this. The earlier you come to terms with this, the better person you can be. The more independent you can be, such that when situations arise against you, when opposition comes against you, because you know that life isn't fair, you do not keep at heart or you do not take for heart those challenges and oppositions that come against you. Rather, you use them as stepping stones to the next level in your growth. For you to be independent, you must learn to accept and acknowledge that life isn't fair. Every independent person cares less about what people think about him or her. Every independent person. This is life. If you are quiet, people will talk about you. If you're noisy, people will say something about you. If you go about doing your business, people have a commentary concerning you. If you interlope in other people's business, people have something to say about you. There is nothing that people will not speak about, talk about. In fact, if people are confident to talk about their creator in demeaning ways, who are you, the creator, not to expect people to think things and talk things about you? Who are you? And I do not mean that in a demeaning manner. I'm just respectfully saying that if people can look at their creator and think negative things about their creator, do you think that as a human you can escape people thinking things about you or thinking negative things about you? Because that's what even hurts the most. The most. Whoever you are, whatever you do, whether hot or cold, gentle or not, talkative or not, quiet, calm, and calculated or not, people think things about you and they will say things about you. Richard T. Feynman says this: you have no responsibility to live up to what other people think you ought to accomplish. I have no responsibility to be like they expect me to be. It's their mistake, not my failing. And I agree with that. There are people who think that we must all eat the same kind of food. There are people who think that because Europe is seemingly more advanced than Africa, then all Africans must think like Europeans. It's not possible. The reason why for example, in Africa, we continue to have issues is that we use Western standards to make an assessment for Africans. Why? Because we think and care about how they think about us. We must stop caring about what other people think. That's the way to go when you want to be independent. Your challenges are not my challenges. Therefore, I do not expect your solutions to be my solutions. There are people who will advise you over fields and situations that they have never been into. Those are dangerous advices. Those are dangerous advisors. You have no responsibility to live up to what other people think or that you ought to accomplish. You have no responsibility to do things that other people expect you to do. There are people who are living right now not in their comfort zone or not by the way that they think they should live. They are living to please others. They are living to do things, to be applauded by others, to be appreciated by others, even though those things that they do hurt and offend them. My friend, you must stop caring about what other people think about you. People will always, and I'm going to repeat it, people will always think things about you. In fact, there are people that you will present a gift and they will think negative about you. They have a wrong impression and interpretation of the gift that is presented. Do what you know is right. Live how you know it is right, or how it's right. Of course, there are minimal standards for every behavior in society. Every one of us is supposed and expected to be moral. Every one of us is expected to be God-fearing. But beyond that, how you express your morality, how you express your ability to fear God, how you express your pleasure should not be anybody's business. You do not have a responsibility to live up to what others have set for you as a standard. You do not have a responsibility to live life to please other people. If you do that, you will not live your life in full. You will actually never fulfill your purpose. And for as long as you do not fulfill your purpose on earth, you have wasted life. You have wasted time. You have wasted energy. So for you to be independent, you must stop caring about how people care or what people think about you. The next is that you shouldn't just think that you are the best. You must prove to yourself that you are actually the best. When people applaud you, do not consider yourself to be the best. Work at being the best. When people castigate you, do not think that you are the worst. Prove to yourself that you are the best. I said, I've shared this story about my life many times now, all right? When I was in secondary school, actually, I started secondary school when I was barely 10 years old. And I had the privilege of then, of course, secondary school was 5 classes, so from 1 to from 5. That was what secondary school was all about. And by the time I was approaching 15, I was already writing my final school exam, my WAEC, as it were. Now, for some reason, but basically naivety, I didn't take that exam seriously. And I failed it woefully, massively. I wrote 9 subjects, got a credit in one, had an F9 in all other 8. People laughed at me, but somehow within me, I knew I am the best. I knew it. Something within me told me that given the chance to write this exam again, I would excel beyond imagination. Unfortunately, excuse me, my dad thought it wise to enroll me again. In fact, took me back to a school where, in fact, I was demoted by a class because I was told that the final year had been prepared for the exam and they didn't want anybody to corrupt their results and so on and so forth. More so, knowing that I came from the background where I failed an examination and so I had to step down, went a class beneath. Okay, my dad actually registered me twice for that final exam, in the sense that on 2 exams within that final year, in the sense that he registered an external exam, he registered an internal exam, and his thought was that if I failed the external exam, I could make it up with the internal exam. But I knew I was the best. I knew I could excel beyond imagination and thought. Unfortunately, the external exam came first. I wrote that exam. By the time the result of that exam came out and I presented to my dad told me not to bother about the internal exam. And I said, no, because you paid, let me honor you by writing that exam again. The external exam, I had 6 distinctions, a credit and a pass. 6 distinctions, a credit and a pass. Why? Because I knew that I was the best, but I needed to prove to myself and to prove to the world that I am the best. And I did it at that exam. Steve Maraboli says this: do the best you can with what you can while you can, and success is inevitable. Do the best you can with what you can while you can, and success is inevitable. For you to be independent, you must not just think that you are the best. You must prove it to yourself. You must also prove it to the world that you are the best. Don't just and claiming to be the best. Go out there and prove that you are the best. And of course, you do not prove that you are the best unless you walk out to show that you are the best. I can do it, it's just a mere statement. But I have done it. It's a proof that you are the best. And finally, like I said, it's meant to be a brief talk, even though time I see that how time flies. I've gone beyond 47 minutes, but never to mind. Okay? You must know this first, in closing, that no man is an island. Even though we have encouraged ourselves to be independent, we must know that no man is an island. There are about 7.8 billion persons in the world, and not one individual can form an island. Not one. A forest is not built by a tree, it's not made up of one tree. It is made up of thousands of trees and plants. In fact, it is not just made up of trees, it is also made up of grasses. So you must know that no man is an island. I've heard music, I've heard songs, I've read books of people who say they are self-made persons. It is not true. If anyone claims to be self-made, two things are the things he's neglecting, or two things are the possible results that he has not seen. Number one, either he is not fully made, or two, he has refused to acknowledge the people that have helped him towards his being made. And both are not good. For you to be made, you need people to help you. For you to be made, you need a team at any time to help you. For children to be made, they need parents, they need siblings, they need friends. For adults to be made, they need influencers, they need direction, they need guidance. And so even though I encourage you to be independent, you must also know that you must be interdependent. In fact, your growth, your development can be noted by how interdependent that you are, how interdependent you are. Because to be interdependent is to acknowledge first and foremost that you cannot do it all by yourself. To be interdependent is to acknowledge that there is no human being that can succeed on his or herself, or by herself rather. And of course, we're saying, I'm stating that interdependence is also the idea that everything in nature is connected to and depends on every other thing. It's as simple as that. Plants depend on humans. Humans depend on plants. We breathe in oxygen because plants generate oxygen. We breathe out carbon dioxide because plants breathe in carbon dioxide. That's how interdependent we are. Fishes require water. Water requires fishes. That's how interdependent they are. A lion depends on an elephant depends on a lion, even though seemingly they are enemies. You cannot be considered to have been fully grown unless you understand that each of us needs each other and we need to be interdependent on each other. If I will draw the curtains at this stage, thanking everyone who has come online. Thank you, my elder brother and friend Andy Yawa, for your comments. Thank you for your belief in me and the confidence in me. And I will say a big 60th independence anniversary to every Nigerian across the world. I did a clip earlier on, and I'm going to say this again. I so much believe in Nigeria. In fact, I so much thank God for making me a Nigerian because of the resources that are abound in this nation, because of the potential that this nation has. We may have been getting it wrong in certain places, but there are obvious certain other places that we are done exceptionally well. We may not be able to, perhaps because we've not taken down time to write them down, but we're still doing well in very many areas of life. Those are the reasons why I will continue to love Nigeria. And by the way, because you and I did not choose to be Nigerians, it means that whoever chose for us chose it for a purpose. And unless we think out the purpose and live out the purpose, we'll never enjoy this land. I love Nigeria and I believe in Nigeria. I wish every one of us a happy independence celebration, and thank you for being with me online. Thank you, and see you next Wednesday. Do have a blessed day. Thank you.